because this is a tropical storm, it is no longer a threat. It is an incredibly serious threat because it's going to move so little over the next several days. And in fact, here is the forecast track from the National Hurricane Center. It's got the sort of bulbous appearance because the storm only slowly moves perhaps off towards the southeast and then towards the north. You see the position on Thursday. Look at that. That is unbelievable. And for that reason, we're talking about truly spectacular amounts of rain coming to much of southeast Texas. This is a model forecast going through the next couple of days. Look at the banding that sets up here over Houston. Now, it may not happen exactly like that, but it's entirely possible that it will happen like that. And we could be talking about easily a couple of feet of rain there in the Houston metro. When we look back to 2001, Tropical Storm Allison, which was actually not even a tropical storm when it caused the bulk of the damage. It was a remnant low, and it caused $5 billion in damage in Houston and surrounding areas. And I want you to notice the size of the area of 20 plus inches of rain near downtown and just off to the southeast, right through there. Now compare that to our forecast showing you an absolutely enormous area of 20 plus inches of rain that covers just about all of Harris County into Galveston and Brazoria counties, Fort Bend County as well. Most of the metro looking at the potential for a couple of feet of rain that is going to fill up the creeks, it is going to fill up the bayous, and we could be talking about catastrophic flooding in this area. It's very difficult for the water to drain off. Houston is very flat. There's a lot of urban area, unlike grasslands or rural areas where the water generally soaks into the ground. It doesn't happen as much when you've got all that concrete and asphalt. And the water that runs off, a lot of it from downtown will go out into this Buffalo Bayou and make its way out towards Galveston Bay and eventually out to the Gulf of Mexico, though it's going to have a harder time because we're going to see a higher water level in the bay there with an onshore flow. Now, in Buffalo Bayou, we see major lowland flooding. When the water gets to 60 feet, the forecast does bring it up to 61 feet by tomorrow, and then slowly coming down through moderate and minor stage over the next couple of days. And you look at the river gauges throughout southeast Texas, Houston and on westward along I-10, down towards Corpus Christi, 82 river gauges forecast to reach flood stage, and the vast majority in purple in major stage in these areas. So we are talking about widespread flooding in the Houston area and also in surrounding areas. I've been here for a very long time. I have not often seen a map that looks like this, an enormous area of 24 to 30 inches from Houston on westward across I-10 and right down towards the coast there. Here's a look at San Antonio.
Oh, that's great.
Big gradient here, so it would be obviously safer if you could get out to the northwest side of the metro, but you get up towards I-10 here and you're talking about 30 plus inches of rain. We see similar values looking farther to the south. We see 29 inches near Victoria. This is on top of the several inches that we've had already, 26 there just to the west of Victoria. Corpus Christi, in an average year, gets 32 inches of rain. So we're talking about annual rainfall for some of these cities coming down in a very, very short period of time. This is a scary situation indeed. And also, on top of that, we've got a tornado threat to tell you about. Tornado warning now in effect for Jasper and Orange counties. And then another one has been issued, and that is for Jasper and Tyler counties. Let's take a look at the velocity data in this case. And so we're seeing a little circulation that has developed near Buna, right in this area, sort of a broader circulation, and that is going to be moving up just north of 96 and off to the north at about 40 miles per hour, coming up towards the Walnut Hill School. Then another tornado warning off to the west of Lake Charles, that for Calcasieu Parish, and that going until 1 o'clock Central Time. Let's get back out to Alex now in Houston. And Alex, I am very, very worried about the level of flooding that we'll see there in the Houston area. I mean, you've got some high water behind you already, and we're just a very long way from the end of this event.
Yeah. You know, folks out here, they're getting out. They're taking a peek at the bayou behind me, White Oak Bayou, before the rain continues. We've seen it rise a bit. Folks here, though, they're saying they expect it to rise much more. So while we have these breaks in the rain, the folks want to get out and, maybe just get the pets out. I've seen a lot of people walking their dogs saying this might be the only chance I've got. I want to bring in now the mayor of Port Aransas, Charles Boujan. And can you tell us the very latest on what's been happening in your community as Harvey made its way through it?
We experienced a max of 132-mile-an-hour winds. We have been unable to get into the main part of the city because of the massive amount of debris that is there. We worked our way down the Island Road, which is 18 miles from the road that leads into Corpus Christi. It took us about 5 hours to get down that. We have confirmation of one very large RV park that has been 100% destroyed. We have done our search and rescue in that area and found no fatalities. We are now in the process of trying to get into the main part of the city. Even with the heavy equipment that we have, we're finding it difficult because of the amount of debris. And so we have not completed our total search and rescue of Port Aransas at this point because of the difficulties that we're having with the amount of debris that's there.
What advice are you giving to folks that are in your community that are maybe in their home?
Well, I know that they want to come home.
Oh, dang.
Really, when we're in the middle of search and rescue, that we really need them to stay away until we can confirm what we have left. And it's just a hindrance when we're trying to do search and rescue to have people in the city at that point.
And what kind of resources are you getting or are you hoping to get maybe from out of town, whether that's from other portions of the state of Texas or across the country?
We're already getting resources from our neighbors, Nueces County, with heavy equipment. And our governor is pledging his support as well for all of the areas that have been affected by this storm. So we're getting plenty of help. It's just that we're dealing with a major event, and it takes a while to get through all the debris and everything that's there.
And I know you mentioned that you've got your search and rescue officials out there, doing checks. Have you heard of any injuries or fatalities from Harvey?
We have heard of absolutely no injuries and no fatalities at this point. We had people on the island. Our city manager and our emergency officer was on the island. They were on the island during the hurricane. We lost contact with them around midnight last night and haven't heard from them since.
All right, Mayor Charles Bujon, thank you so much for joining us from Port Aransas, Texas. Of course, one of the areas dealing with the hard hit impacts of Harvey. Want to get in now to Brock Long, our FEMA director. Mr. Long, thank you so much for joining us. You look at an event like this, Harvey, the first Category 4 hurricane to make landfall here in the U.S. since Charlie back in 2004. What kind of resources were pre-positioned ahead of Harvey, and now what are you doing now that the storm has made landfall?
Well, we've been in the state for well over 48 hours with pre-positioned resources, whether it's search and rescue teams or commodities to support citizens with life-sustaining, water, ice, MREs. We're also starting to move we've moved incident management teams there, but we've gone from the pre-staging to actively helping, and so we've already helped, coordinate, several search and rescue missions already utilizing our partners at the United States Coast Guard. So it's been a very active day that's going to continue, and unfortunately, this is just the beginning of this event. We're settling in for a long battle here.
Yeah, and with this being a multi-day event, now maybe the threat changing a little bit. You talk about all the wind damage as the storm moved on shore. Now we switch to a rain event. How does that change your preparation or your tactics?
Well, the frustrating thing about this is, it may delay the local and state government's ability to get in, as well as us. We play a support role to our state and local partners, but when it comes to rolling forward and pushing resources in, we have to be very careful. We can't move people in to put their lives in danger. So there's a waiting game here in many areas of Texas, and until the weather subsides, we can't roll in. But once it does, we are very close and ready to push forward. And as the system is dissipating and south of the storm or west of the storm, we are starting to support our state and local partners with rendering assistance.
All right, back on with FEMA. Thank you so much for your time. I would imagine a difficult situation for all emergency officials. Governor Greg Abbott from Texas speaking now live on the effects in his state.
Thank you.
Concern remains dramatic flooding. According to information that I was provided, there's been about 20 inches of rain in the Corpus Christi area, about 16 inches of rain in the Houston area, and our biggest concern is the possibility of between 20 and 30 more inches of rain in areas ranging from Corpus Christi over to Houston. Because of the flooding, one of the top focal points that we're concerned about is ongoing rescue and recovery. We want to do everything we possibly can to keep people out of rising water. Part of that is by constant warnings to the public about being vigilant, about observing rising water around you as you're traveling. If you are traveling out on the road, always watch for water on the road, remembering that when you come across water, it could be far deeper than what your eye observes, or the swiftness of the current can be far stronger than what you perceive. You all know the well-known phrase, and that is turn around, don't drown. Don't risk your life. Still, the most important thing that all Texans can do who are affected by the storm is to put your life and the protection of your life first and foremost. In addition to that, the state and various agencies remain very active in the search and rescue process, and that will be one of the foremost tasks that we undertake in the coming days. We have focused on working with and supporting evacuees, especially from around the Corpus Christi area, now expanding to some larger areas. I had the opportunity yesterday afternoon to go to San Antonio to visit with evacuees as they were getting off of buses that had come in from the Corpus Christi area. You could sense a sense of relief on their part that they were out of what was an increasingly threatening storm.
Oh my
They were
God.
happy to be alive, and they were at peace in that regard, but obviously also concerned about what they had left behind, about the possibility that they had lost or would be losing the place they lived as well as some of their property. But most importantly, they were just happy to be alive. I have issued a disaster declaration that originally included 30 counties, and this is a state disaster declaration. And we have now added 20 more counties for a total of 6 counties. As you probably know, I requested a federal disaster declaration that the president granted last night. This is incredibly important and extremely fast. What the presidential proclamation about our disaster declaration does is it immediately triggers the implementation of FEMA and FEMA's assistance for individuals as well as cities and counties, for all of us to begin the rebuilding process as quickly as possible. Something else that I did yesterday is I issued a proclamation waiving hotel occupancy taxes for all evacuees and first responders. So in any place in the state of Texas where there's an evacuee or a first responder who is affected by this storm, they will be able to have the hotel taxes waived. I just got word from the Fort Bend County Judge who has issued a voluntary evacuation for the Brazos River area in Fort Bend County, and a mandatory evacuation along the San Bernard. This is one of the foremost regions in Texas that already has flooding, and we anticipate the flooding to grow worse in that area. This morning, I had the opportunity to make phone calls to several of the mayors who were affected by the hurricane last night. I spoke with the mayor of Victoria and spoke with the mayor of Port Lavaca. I made phone calls to the mayors of Corpus Christi as well as Rockport, and with the latter two, I did not have the ability to connect with them, but left messages for them. For the mayors of Victoria and Port Lavaca, they seem to be in strong spirits. They obviously preside over cities that have suffered some very meaningful damage, but they are working very aggressively to try to help their citizens respond to their challenges. And I offer them, as well as the mayors of Corpus Christi and Rockport, any and all help that the state of Texas can provide. Now for some more granular detail as a result of the briefing that I just had. Looking at the Texas Military Division, there are more than 1,300 service members who are currently activated, and we anticipate increasing that amount by 500 more, giving us above 1,800 service members who will be activated to assist in responding to the hurricane and its aftermath. As far as the Texas Department of Transportation, they are already undertaking cleanup operations around the Corpus Christi and Yoakum areas, working to clear pathways along the roadways there, which is impressive that they were able to get in that quickly and begin that process. With the PUC, they say that there are more than 338,000 outages, and it will still be several days, perhaps, before those outages will be able to be addressed. The reason for that is because...
All right, that was Governor Greg Abbott in Texas talking about all the preparations they're making now. Got to tell you